But while Part 2 is a thrilling adventure, it still makes time for a stunning, nuanced exploration of the strength and fragility of the human spirit. The PlayStation 4 has one of its finest exclusives in one of the generation's best games.
Wait a minute!
A few moments later.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I don't know if Naughty Dog really just wanted everyone talking about this particular scene in The Last of Us where I can only describe this as a man and a man-looking woman. I don't know. It's really bizarre because everything I can find out, as far as I know, she's just a woman who's really buff, but then there are members of the trans community that are saying she's trans. I don't know. By the way, don't care. None of it matters in the context of this video in any way, but it would explain why Sony didn't choose to use, what are they called, lens flares, to cover certain parts of it. I mean, when we look at just, you know, some of the things people are saying, you know, the lens flare issue is obviously creepy. You know, why didn't Sony, if they did that to Devil May Cry, why didn't they do it to this? You see the lens flare in Devil May Cry 5, and I think that's a very reasonable take. But what's also interesting is this whole scene was described as, quote, tasteful, when it really isn't tasteful. It's raw, it's animalistic. It almost looks like, I don't know, like there's a power to it that doesn't maybe at times seem consensual. I don't know. You can see Bounding into Comics covers this, saying the scene that was touted as, quote, tasteful by Naughty Dog VP Druckmann has leaked out just days before the game's official release, and contrary to intentions, the scene is anything but. It begins with Abby, the muscularly built secondary protagonist of the game, and Owen, the man previously seen with Abby in the leaked cutscenes leaking up to the end of Joel's storyline. Arguing what appears to be an RV, as the argument heats up, tensions escalate, angers turn to passion, the two begin to do their things. What follows is a bizarrely awkward scene showing Owen turning Abby around and roughly seeming painfully taking her, going in dry, which concludes with 3 rough bumps from Owen and then cutting to black. Truly, truly tasteful. The inclusion of the scene in last... By the way, I want to be very clear. This is an M-rated game. Totally fine that it's in there. Okay? Totally fine with it. 100%. Now, parents, you know, should probably know that there's like a full-on scene in it. But ultimately, all this type of stuff is available at your fingertips anywhere online anyway. So I don't know. I don't really care about it existing in there. What I care about is the hypocrisy, right? The inclusion of the scene in Last of Us Part 2 also exposes a double standard of Sony themselves. While the scene was allowed to be shown in their AAA franchise title, even the most minor hints of this type of content, primarily from Japanese video games, has received obsessive censorship from the company. In Devil May Cry 4, a purple light obscures the rear and chest of the game's female character in Western territories. In Senran Kagura Burst Renewal, had the game's intimacy mode removed from release on PlayStation 4, as the PC version retains this as fan service heavy game mode. In 2018, Sony canceled the localization efforts of Omega Labyrinth Z due to the title's, I don't know what kind of content that is, but I'm going to assume it's spicy. 2 hookup scenes, both considerably less spicy, than one featured above, were cut from the recent commercial release of Terminator Resistance as at the request of both Sony and Microsoft. For those still interested in the long-awaited sequel, Last of Us 2 drops tomorrow. So it's interesting, you know, that this was totally fine. And here's the quote. Part 2 ventures further into new ground of the studio. There's even a wonderfully written love triangle. There's even a tasteful snuggle scene in a rarity in games. Is it? What about the one from Road to Hell or whatever that was called? But that's not really what the funny story to me was, is there's a little bit of backlash from an IGN reporter. Lucy O'Brien, executive editor at IGN, getting a little bit of backlash and being forced to delete a tweet. Now, I captured this. I should have archived it so I could see the replies. I'm sure they're still there. She writes, and this is in response to people making fun of the scene online. She writes, "Remember, folks are upset at this spicy scene in a piece of media because it's not made for their excitement. It is because they are a virgin and will sadly always be." To which I replied, "Even a virgin knows you don't cram your junk into something bone dry. What is your excuse?" Again, I don't care one bit that this exists, like legitimately. But then she was forced to delete that tweet. Why? It's been pointed out to me that painting out virginity to be a bad thing is a kind of a sad thing, as there are a million reasons people can't or don't hook up. Sorry about that. Still, not every scene is for your excitement. That's not what this in media is always for. Sure, but again, it is a double standard, and nobody knows that better than the anime video game community. And of course, all this sorry, not sorry. Personally, I assume the scene you're talking about weirded me out as a little. Not in a weird, uncomfortable way. I just felt guilty for liking it because it felt like such a real moment. Yeah, sure. Stunning and brave. And by the way, again, do your thing. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having a little spicy scene. Nice apology. You're clearly not sorry, so don't apologize. So you get canceled for your tweet where you tried to cancel people for not agreeing with you? Karma. Not trying to cancel everybody. Lucy has been on the defense all days. Now, look, what do you want? What do you want someone to do in this situation? You acknowledge the mistake and you move on. I think that's reasonable. She did get dunked on pretty hilariously. But just as a check-in, earlier today, it seemed like Metacritic had blocked new reviews, or it was trying to slow down the process, or maybe the website itself was just a little bogged down. That's probably the most likely thing to do. But just as a late Friday afternoon check-in, you'll be seeing this video Saturday morning, the user score is currently sitting at a 3.3. Generally unfavorable reviews based on 15,323 reviews. Now, if we looked at the Google reviews, Metacritic 95, Games Radar 5 out of 5, and even Google users, 42% of people liked it. Now, out of 8,521 ratings, it's sitting at a 1.9. Game journalists, of course, saying, well, all of this must be ignored because it's brigading. Yes, the game is being brigaded. But again, in both directions, you can look at positive and negative reviews and find kind of sus reviews all over the place. If I look at just user score, if I sort, like Metacritic is really getting hammered today, but if I sort by score, you'll see a bevy of basically 10 out of 10 perfect video game reviews. Amazing game. Graphics are breathtaking. Gameplay is great, and every character is just lovable. Naughty Dog has done it again. Doesn't that sound like it was written by a PR firm? Who talks like this? Naughty Dog hit it out of the park. The Last of Us Part 2 is a phenomenal game in nearly every aspect, including storytelling, gameplay, and graphics. We just know that that's not true. The game doesn't advance the gameplay far enough into 2020, given 7 years. The story, I hear the voice acting is good, very good even, and then I hear that the visuals are excellent, the landscapes, and I think that that's reasonable. But again, amazing game. Some people just ruining the game without playing it and shows how salty they are. It's a great game. 9 out of 10 for me, but I'll give it a 10 so the review doesn't get worse because of some people. So I don't like people lying, so I'm going to lie. You yourself said it was a 9, which I would hear that out. I think that there are genuinely people that think this game is a 9. You said, I think that this is a 9, but I'm going to give it a 10 anyway because reasons. Here you go, 10 out of 10. Just doing this to say screw you to leakers. Still don't know if the game is top tier yet since I only played a few hours, but here's a 10 out of 10. So all of the journals out there who are like, it's getting review brigaded, everything, it's really just better that, here's a 10 out of 10 from somebody who admits that they didn't play the game. These are fake positive reviews. There are suspect games. There's somebody that openly lied. Yeah, the game's a 9, but I'm gonna give it a 10 anyway to pump the score. My point is not that the game is a 3. Of course it's not a 3. Maybe for some people it is, but probably not even on average. But my point is that there's absolutely fake positive reviews, as well as fake negative reviews. I still predict this game will end up somewhere at a 6 to 6.5, kind of like The Last Jedi, even after I'm sure they're going to purge the reviews by tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to be working remote tomorrow, so if they do, I'll find a way to get you all a video. If they don't, I hope you enjoyed this one. And I hope that if you're not subscribed, that today will be the day I earn it. There's a little red subscription button below the video. Please consider pressing that to stay up to date on my latest videos. Hope you enjoyed this particular video. We'll talk to you again real soon.